Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Season 3.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to
So as you already know or don't know, this was probably the most anticipated and hyped up update to Warzone we probably ever had. And there's a lot that really goes into that, not only just the state of the game, what was talked about in the patch notes, and then also what kind of got relayed to the community. Not only do Call of Duty devs, always pretty much ignore the community, they just really don't have an open line of communication. It's not even like we're gonna ignore you and then let you know what's happening. It's more so like we're gonna just ignore you and then also not let you know what our plans are, and we're just gonna do our thing, which is cool. I get it. They're a business, and I'm sure they are incredibly intelligent people, but at the same time, I do feel like a little bit of ego and a little bit of accountability is what's causing this game to drag so far behind of its competitors. It feels like the people in charge can never just be like, you know what, that's on us right there. I was definitely wrong about that. But they just want to be right, and whatever that means, right? Whatever that looks like, whatever that sounds like. And that's cool. I get it. I wish it wasn't like that. And I know the community has had a lot of distrust with the dev team. And I know recently the community's had a lot of distrust with the creators because the creators essentially became the middleman. They became the spokesperson to the community that the dev team wouldn't be. And I feel like, all in all, this weird situation kind of amplified this update to be like the end-all be-all update. And so when it didn't deliver to these crazy expectations overnight, you saw such a huge backlash across the community. Again, it's valid, right? In a way, it is definitely valid. Because for me personally, this update wasn't terrible. It wasn't much for sure. Definitely not what was being promised online. But they were starting to bring back some of those old Warzone 1 ideas and implementing them into the game. And it did look like they were making strides to make the game a little bit faster and just a little bit more playable overall. But even then, when you have the correct updates, but you're not ensuring that your servers are going to be good to go, how can a player base enjoy your updates if you're not even giving them a stable server to play them on? So there was no way this update was ever going to win. I mean, we've been having server issues now since Season 2, and we're still having them now. They're even amplified even more for Season 3. I'm sure you guys saw where they took away your latency so you can't see what kind of ping you're on, as if like you can't tell you're objectively skipping all over the map. But I feel you. There's a lot of different arguments. There's a lot of different sides to the argument. And I feel like I've interpreted and I've watched every side of every argument. And what I'll say is again, there's been a lot of accountability issues across the board from the dev team, from the creator side to say, maybe we had a hand in gassing this up a little bit too much as well. I don't think the dev team came out and lied to anyone. I don't think the dev team was like, we're going to hop in a call and we're going to lie to these creators. And so when they go to their audience and they tell them, then like they're going to hate them too. I just don't. If we're down to say the devs don't care about us and we're down to say the devs don't listen and they don't care about the community and they don't care about the game, I just don't see what reason they would have to hop in a call and care to lie. I feel like maybe they just kind of brought, I feel like maybe the call happened, they brought the patches, the updates, and they said, hey, we are going to be making changes to movement and TTK. And as you saw in the patch notes, they didn't say they did anything crazy. It was like those small changes, right? And I think maybe people heard that. They got a little bit too excited. Again, at the end of the day, the community's never had an open line of communication with the devs. So once they started bringing in Warzone creators to these calls, it started making the community feel like they could be heard now, where they had so given up on that. It got to the point where like, oh, maybe if I tell my favorite streamer, or maybe I helped them build a list, like now we're heard. I feel like that was like the nuclear bomb to Season 3. And there was just a lot of, and it's not even like these creators weren't coming to you so they could hype up the game and like they were paid to hype it up or they were trying to hype it up to get viewers or anything. I don't think that was the case. I think they just got a little bit too excited and they said things they should not have, and they should have been a little bit more accountable and should have been a little bit more responsible with the position they are in. So it was just a really bad scenario all in all. I think there was just a lack of accountability on all sides of the equation, all sides of the coin. But you have to look at it, it's Warzone, guys. I mean, if you've played Warzone since Verdansk, you should know by now, like we're not going to get these overnight overhauls. That's never what Call of Duty has been about. We've never seen that in their business practice or their business model. So I'm not really sure why we would expect everything to kind of flip to our direction now just because we want it to. I think Call of Duty is still going to do what they've always done. I think they're going to make small steps in the right direction, and then it'll take a little bit more time than what we all would rather. I think we would all rather them kind of make the changes overnight. And hey, even if you went too far with it, you can always dial it back or something. Going forward, I think as a community, we all just have to have a very realistic idea of what's to come for Warzone and what that looks like, and whether or not you want to be a part of it or not, because there's nothing wrong if you don't want to play the game anymore. I'm not here to sell you guys to play Warzone. I will say I'm still going to be on Warzone these next few months. We do have World Series of Warzone coming up in September. It's our first really big LAN event. So these next few months are going to be filled with a ton of grinding. I'm still going to be on the game nonstop. Obviously, we have ranked play coming in Season 3.5, which I do plan on making a lot of content around. I'm going to do my best to be the best player I can be, the best creator I can be, and bring you guys the most honest, real value that I possibly can. Not just for my content on YouTube, but also for my live streams as well. I don't think ranked is going to be the savior. I do not think ranked saves Warzone 2. I think it does a really good job of giving the grinders left that are still playing the game something to play for these next few months. And I think maybe you bring back a couple, maybe they bring back some old grinders, but looking at it like it's going to bring back the casual fan base, or it's going to change the vibe of the game, or that's just not the best way to look at it, because I don't want you to be let down when that comes in, because it's just not going to be that way, man. The reason why we're in this state we're in is because at the core of the game, it's just not fun. The core of the game is so broken. The mechanics just don't make any sense. And it's not like it's these tiny things where we just need a ranked, or like we just need these skins, or if they just change this one animation, we're good. Unfortunately, that's not the boat we're in. We're kind of too deep in at this point. They can make better steps in the right direction, which I'm happy for, and they can bring us a slightly better title and game to grind through, especially for World Series of Warzone. But to expect that in 3.5, this game is going to overnight flip the switch, it's going to be Verdansk times again, it's just not here, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I have to be the one that kind of brings a realistic viewpoint, because I'm still very optimistic. I feel like a lot of people, when you talk like this, they think you're being negative or you have such a terrible outlook. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you definitely can be negative or be positive, but I don't think being obnoxiously overly positive about something that you can realistically see isn't going to happen, I don't think that's good for you either. I don't think that's healthy for you either. I think I still love Warzone. I will always love Warzone. I will still be grinding it through Season 3.5. I'm going to try to go for top 250 ranked in the world. Obviously, I have World Series of Warzone. I have finals next month. We have our first set of finals in 1 month. We have our second set of finals in July, I believe. And then in September is going to be the major LAN event that everyone's going to be flying out to if you do qualify. So there is still a lot to come for competitive Warzone. There's still a lot of content. There's still a lot of life in the game for that reason. But in the casual sphere, in the sphere of not competing, I don't know what all you have to look forward to. Again, if you're not someone that is objectively going to be going for, a higher rank, or you're hopping on to improve, or you're hopping on to try to qualify for World Series of Warzone, I feel like the changes made now are great for the players that do want to improve and do grind the game. But for the people that don't care to improve and hop on once or twice a week, I don't see how this brings back any kind of love for them. And that's okay. Maybe that's okay. And maybe that's what's best for these next few months. I don't know. Nobody knows. We're all doing our best to really kind of pick up the pieces as we go and try to build a game that we once all loved. Is it too late for Warzone 2? I have no idea. At the end of the day, COD is extremely good at promising things. They're extremely good at upselling things. They're extremely good at their marketing side of things. So they'll find a way to upsell us on the next one. I'm sure of it. Regardless, I'm curious to hear what everyone thinks right now with Season 3. I'm curious to hear everyone's, viewpoint and opinions on how do you feel about the changes? How do you feel about what the future of this game is looking like? Are you a more casual player, or have you always wanted to take Warzone a little bit more serious? Because again, that's what my content is probably going to be gauged towards these next few months. So I love you guys. Thank you guys again for everything. I really appreciate all the love on the videos, and I appreciate you guys being a part of my journey through Warzone 2. We still have a lot to look forward to. I know, again, this update wasn't what the community wanted. It wasn't this big overall save the day. But for me personally, I still have a lot left in the tank. I still have a lot left to grind for. Again, we got the rain play coming up. We have World Series of Warzone. That grind is going to be like a 3 to 4 month grind starting now, basically. So I have a lot on my plate to still go do. Regardless, thank you guys so much for all the love on today's video and in the previous videos. I appreciate you guys more than you know. And until next time, I'll see you all soon.
I mean,
I honestly can't even think of like a better way to end a season 3 game. You know what I mean?